Now, if we look at Bitcoin, I talked about this. I said, guys, this is a topping tail here. Topping tail is a specific candle formation that probabilities, again, probabilities are everything. Probabilities dictated that when you get a topping tail and it fits the criteria, that now you have a top in the chart. I said that on that day. Since then, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 down days, 1 bounce, another down day, and a big fall. We broke this level here. The reason why that's so important is because you now have a negation of any bullish consolidation. This was bullish consolidation even with the topping tail. It was sideways chop. You've now broken below the low of that bullish consolidation. Now, you will have support on Bitcoin right here. This is your FTX beginning drop over here. So if I zoom out, FTX news came out here. It fell. We hit it right here. You can see how it pulled back and then broke out. This will now be a scene of the crime support. If that breaks, there's no support until 18,400. Okay. Now, on the upside, if we ever close above that topping tail high, all right, let me repeat that. If we ever close above that topping tail high, that is a negation of the bearish topping tail. You should expect price to go up to at least 25,000, potentially close to 30,000. All right. Now, again, that's a big if. When does that happen? I mean, eventually it'll happen in the next bull cycle, whenever that is. But that's what I would watch for on the other side. And we haven't even taken out this high at 25,000, which was kind of even a little bit above that. If we look at the 2021 level here, right? So if we go to the lows of 2021, basically it crosses right through this area here, right? So this area and then this area. So for me, in the very least, we would need to see Bitcoin trade above 30 for me to even start to kind of think that maybe the lows are in. And again, it makes a lot of sense, right? If we can establish ourselves back above this level, now you're back above some very pivotal levels in the last couple of years in Bitcoin's history. And you could argue that you're kind of closer to the highs at that point. You're getting closer to that 50% closer to the highs versus the lows on the chart. So I think 30,000 for me would be a pivotal level. There is one more level that I want to show you here, which is it was a key breakdown point. So you just want to watch this as well. You have your pivot lows here connecting perfectly to here, and we could see we broke there. So if we did get above 30, we would want to see what happens at 42. But already at 42, you could still have the lows in. So I think 30,000 for me is really a big pivotal level here. I am seeing a chart on ETH being asked about. Let's take a look at ETH. I know you guys love your ETH. Look at this, guys. This is not good news for Ethereum. Ethereum had this channel that I've talked about in my daily crypto videos that are on verifiedinvestingcrypto.com. Look at the break below the line. You closed below. Now you haven't confirmed, so there is a small, albeit small, chance it can get back above that line. If it doesn't and it confirms, you'll have minor support at 1,500, and then there's no support until 1,325. Okay, so that's kind of, it's definitely like it's borderline breakdown here. I wouldn't classify this as a full-fledged breakdown because it hasn't confirmed the break yet, but it is like it's hanging on by a nail, like one finger's on the cliff and it's hanging over the cliff at this point. Makes sense. If Tesla's going to pull back, if Nvidia, those are risk assets, it makes sense that crypto could be in trouble. Does it also make sense that if the dollar is making a bull flag and it breaks up, that we could also see crypto fall in this chart? Yes, it does. It all should align, right? And again, it doesn't mean it's always going to work out perfectly. We never invest 100% of our assets into anything because any one of my trades could be wrong. Trust me, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But by diversifying out amongst multiple different trading opportunities, we limit our risk. And then again, if you're going to bat, let's say in general, I bet 70 to 80%. So 70 to 80% of all my trades are successful, right? That's generally what my history has shown. What that means still is that 2 to 3 out of every 10 are going to be wrong. So I can't bet the farm on one trade because what if that's one of the 2 or 3 that's going to be a bust? So what I do is I spread my money out amongst those, knowing that the overall win rate will be there by using technical analysis. And that then gives me an overall net positive gain in my portfolio. S&P 500, we'll look at this. We did have a breakout above this scene of the crime here. So what does this mean? If we were to pull back to this level, what is that telling us? This should be a bounce. Would it be a long-term investment? Nope, not according to what I just said over the, about markets going down. But could we get a little trade here? Absolutely. And then honestly, I would probably look for it to go and break lower. Eventually, it's going much, much lower on the S&P, but this would be a trade right around 393, 392 on the spiders if we got down there based on this classic retrace again to the scene of the crime. Or let's go right over to the dollar. What's the dollar doing? Now, remember, the dollar is absolutely a inverse indicator for the markets and for risk assets. Now, again, can anyone tell me what pattern formation this is right here? What pattern formation is that, guys? Come on. I know someone knows it out there. Someone take a stab. All right. Well, anyways, I know a bunch of you guys know it, but bottom line is this is a bull flag formation on the dollar. The US dollar, again, is putting in a bullish consolidation pattern there. What can we extrapolate from this setup? What's the probabilities? And remember, everything technical that I do is all about probabilities. So ultimately what this means is whether or not the dollar goes up today or next week, this is telling us probabilities are the dollar is going to start to move higher. What does that mean for risk assets? Should we expect upside in the market or downside? And the answer is downside. In the crypto markets, would we likely see more downside? The answer is yes as well. If the dollar is moving higher, we likely will see downside in risk assets. All right, where would the dollar go in terms of a short-term target if this bull flag does start to play out? The answer is pretty easy here, right? So you have this little area right here. And again, this would be my target on the dollar. This is where I would consider buying Bitcoin again for a quick trade, or I would consider buying some stocks or the S&P or the NASDAQ. Look at this pivot low right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. This pivot low with this pivot low with this high with this high. See how it all aligns? That tells you there is a major level there as that's going to be resistance. It's a former level that was huge. We've been away from it for a little time. So if the dollar rallies up, 105.50 essentially is going to be big resistance.